Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pearls of Fisdom. Right here with Nirmal Bang, I'm Avan Dabash. Now, India has been the largest consumer and the second largest producer of sugar in the world. Let's understand a little bit more about the trends and how pricing affects the global markets. We put the spotlight on Shree Renuka Sugars to understand a little bit more. They're a global agribusiness and bioenergy corporation and a leading manufacturer of sugar in the country. Atul Chaturvedi is the executive chairman of Shree Renuka Sugars. Thank you for taking time out. I want to understand the dynamics of the industry because you really have a magnifying glass on it. And you said that you don't call it the sugar industry, it's now the energy industry. And there has been so much steps taken by the government with respect to the allocation for more sugar for ethanol. Give us a view in an election year, how you're looking at these dynamics.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your show. And as you rightly said, we now consider sugar as an energy sector instead of calling it a sugar sector. So this has been a year which is a little in terms of roller coaster. Initially, we were thinking that the crop would be much lower, but subsequent events have shown that the crop in India had rebounded. So finally, the figures which have come out is our crop number could be, in terms of sucrose, about 34.3 million tons or thereabouts, and another about 32 million tons of sugar, and diversion towards ethanol about 2.3 million tons, or sugar sacrificed for ethanol. So I think the sugar numbers, the production numbers of sugar are not much lower compared to last year, and the crop actually rebounded big time with good rains in October and November of 2023. And as far as diversion to ethanol is concerned, the government initially had pegged it at about maximum diversion of sugar at around 1.7 million tons, which now they have already increased by another 0.67 million tons. So overall, we expect the diversion to be 2.3 to 2.35 million tons. And exports in any case are banned. This has been an election year, and all these actions of the government were largely to ensure that sugar production in the country does not fall, and the inflation as far as sugar is concerned does not raise its ugly head. So sugar has not raised its ugly head, and sugar prices have been relatively muted in the country, even though the international values of sugar have been very high, and the Indian consumer has been insulated big time. So I think we pampered the urban consumer at the cost of the farmer. Yep.
Yeah, and overall, what about the sugar supply in the world? Given that there is maybe an issue as to whether India will be exporting or not, that really changes the world sugar values. What is your outlook on the supply of sugar? Is there a deficit concern?
Let's face one fact, that India is a big swing factor as far as sugar in the world is concerned. We are not only the second biggest producer, but also the largest consumer. But with India out of the world market, and most of the sugar players in the world had penciled that India would remain out of the market. But Brazilian sugarcane has been a big boon to the Brazilian cane farmers. In fact, this year, some reports say that the production last year could be as high as 700 million tons of cane, and sugar at around 42 million tons or thereabout. And with the difference between ethanol in Brazil, ethanol values in Brazil and sugar values much more in favor of sugar, so Brazilian factories have been making a lot more sugar than what they were making earlier. And even Thai sugar, which was earlier discounted big time, the Thai numbers have also become quite positive. So world has no problems as far as sugar is concerned, and even though India is out. So overall, what we are seeing is the demand supply is evenly matched, maybe marginally higher in terms of supply.
So, okay. And
Yeah.
what about the outlook in terms of the center allocating a higher sales quota for sugar mills? How do you look at that affecting the overall pricing?
Indian consumption currently we are pegging it around 29 million tons, out of which roughly about 500,000 tons may actually be getting into Bangladesh and Nepal via the unauthorized or so-called smuggling or illegal route. So domestic consumption at around 28 and a half, allocation of 2.7 for this month should be taken in the context of the election month. May is an election month, and even part of June would also be election month. So I think the allocation would remain high, and there's no reason why the government should not allocate more, because we have adequate sugar in the system already, because our production has been pretty good, and there's no reason. And the best part is, even at higher allocation, sugar prices are inching up. So there's good demand as far as sugar is concerned.
Sure. So just wanted to get in an overall sense, given that the average prices of the sweetener have remained rather stable over the past few months, you're seeing them remaining at these levels around that. Is that the projection?
I would say the prices will definitely inch up a little, because summer months, the consumption of sweet things and juices and beverages actually goes up big time. So there's no reason why sugar consumption during these months, and we are in any case facing hot summer this year. So the consumption is robust and strong, and there's adequate availability of sugar, so that it's a win-win situation for the consumer and for the millers as well. And in terms of prices also, the prices have remained rather muted. Maybe they'll inch up a bit, but that's not going to pinch the pocket of a consumer too much.
So, what is the outlook then when it comes to the sugarcane crushing? Do you believe that it could potentially inch up higher?
No, this year whatever we are hearing is that the monsoon looks to be much better, and in fact, if IMD is to be believed, they are saying that monsoon will be timely and much better. In fact, 104% of the long range average, 105 of the long range average, and the spatial distribution of the monsoon also looks to be quite all right. So if that be the case, and if we have good rain, there's no reason why the production of cane in the country would not go up. This year, the year gone by, Karnataka had suffered, Maharashtra had suffered, but I think if the rains are normal, these two states are going to bounce back big time, and UP as well. So there's no reason to fear loss of cane acreage for the next crushing season. So I think good time for the sugar industry if the rains are all right. Yeah.
Oh, yes, indeed. Good times is what everyone is hoping for. And with the probable allocation of more sugar for ethanol, are you ruling out the possibility of the release of an export quota for this sugar season?
We would love to have export quota getting released, because it doesn't make sense to have something like 9 million tons of carryover, because our back of the envelope calculations tell us that we started the year with about 5.6 million tons of sugar in the carry-in, and about 32 million tons of production this year, consumption at 29, which means that your end stocks would go up to about 9 million tons. India does not require more than 6 million tons of buffer stock. So additional 3 million tons, part of it could be diverted to exports, and why deprive the industry of better margins as far as export is concerned. So, but we do not know that the government would much rather want to err on the side of caution, which they have till now.
Wanted to know, with the implications of a good monsoon projection, what this means for the industry as a whole.
No, the good monsoon would mean better cane crop, and I'm sure with the better cane crop, it will give the government the required confidence to allow cane juice to be converted into ethanol as well. And if the ethanol industry of the distilleries function during the season time full blast, and the crushing also happens full blast, so I think overall it's healthy for the industry, and it's going to be healthy for the farmers as well, because once we are in the ethanol production from juice, the farmers will also get payments much faster because it helps the cash flows of the industry. And we are keeping our fingers crossed just to see how monsoon starts behaving in June and July.
So, what is the outlook, given that the ethanol production using cane juice that is currently restricted? Will the government relook these restrictions?
No, I'm sure once the government is confident of the next cane crop, and which they should, because what all predictions are that the monsoon is going to be normal, is going to be about 104, 105% of the long range average. So once the government has the confidence, I'm sure they would, because as a country, our Prime Minister is committed to carbon neutrality. So we are signatories to the Paris Accord. So I'm sure ethanol from juice would continue, hopefully, next season.
Okay, so what is the outlook when it comes to the retail prices? Do you think they'll inch up higher?
No, we definitely feel that the retail prices would inch higher, because these are summer months, and summer months the demand for sugar actually increases with higher consumption for beverages and juices and things like that. So overall we feel though the prices will not run away, but will definitely inch up, maybe a rupee or 2 rupees a kilo. That should definitely happen. Yeah.
Okay, and given that the sugar crushing has improved, what is the outlook for the full year sugar production?
Sugar production is now, sugar crushing season is almost over. So this year what we've received is, our numbers say that the sucrose production was about 34.3 million tons and sugar production about 32, which means about 2.3 million tons of sugar was sacrificed for ethanol. So I think the crushing season, we were anticipating to be a much lower crop number, but subsequent events and subsequent rains in October or November of last year has resulted in the numbers improving big time.
Okay, and what is the outlook when it comes to the probable allocation of more sugar for ethanol?
So it will all boil down to how the monsoon pans out, and currently whatever we are hearing is, and whatever we are reading is, that the monsoon is going to be much more normal and maybe 104, 105% of the long range average. If that be the case and the cane crop improves, there is no reason why the government should not allow diversion of cane juice into ethanol, and overall ethanol production from sugar sector should not go up more than 2.3 million tons of diversion, which has taken place this year. So we are quite positive and quite gung-ho, because monsoon seems to be on track as of now, and its spatial distribution is also quite all right. So there's no reason as of today.
And the ethanol production using cane juice is currently restricted. Do you think that the government will relook that?
There's no reason why they should not, because as it is, if you look at the sugar matrix, and I've spoken about that, so we are likely to end the year with 9 million tons of sugar. There's no reason why India should be carrying sugar more than 6 million tons, which is good enough for 2.5 to 3 months of consumption. So I'm sure the government will probably seriously look at it. Maybe once they are confident as far as the progress of the monsoon, maybe in July, August, they will definitely look at it. And it's a pragmatic government, and they keep watching these things very, very closely. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, that's good to know. And, just to understand more when it comes to the crushing activity in UP, that's declined due to the sharp drop in the operational mills, Maharashtra, Karnataka, etc., stopping operations. What's your outlook on the crushing activity?
No, in any case, crushing activity practically comes to an end by April. It starts in October. So it's no different this year. Whatever you might be reading in the media and all, I think it's a normal year. And in terms of production, it is now getting reflected with 34.3 million tons of sucrose production. It is only marginally lower compared to what it was last year. So last year, my take is that the sugar production, last year means the year gone by, not this one, was 33 million tons and another 3 or 3.25 million tons diverted to cane. Against that, the drop is only marginal.
Okay. And 25% of the molasses traded in the world originates in India. Do you think that a government should consider a ban on molasses exports?
No, in any case, what the government has done is they've gone ahead and jacked up the export levies on molasses. There's no reason why Indian molasses should be going around in the world when the same is required for producing ethanol within the country. So at 50% export duty, India is no longer competitive in the world market. And obviously, the export activity as far as molasses is concerned has come down big time.
Okay. And finally, how are you looking at the overall government intervention of late, and how does that impact the sugar industry's confidence in terms of their commitment to the ethanol blending program in light of the fact that it's election year?
Election year will be over by, say, first week of June. And after that, whatever actions have been taken to keep the prices in check, and so I think the government would probably relook at it much more rationally. And there's no reason why they would not allow things to normalize. Obviously, inflation is, and no government would want the prices to run away. And as far as the sugar in the country is concerned, we've got adequate stocks, and there's no reason why we can see sugar prices running away. The industry has been demanding increase of minimum selling price because the government has already announced higher FRP or fair remunerative price for cane for the coming ensuing season. So it's important that the government relooks at minimum selling price and improves on that. Plus, they should also announce a higher price for ethanol from juice and maybe be heavy. So that is something which we would be closely tracking. But that probably will happen once they are confident on how the monsoon is progressing. Yeah.
So just last one. Before we let you go, given that it's Pearls of Fisdom, can you give us some pearls of wisdom, given that you're a veteran in the industry and people really look up to you?
Honestly speaking, I'm an edible oil man. So major portion of my professional career I've been with the edible oil industry. As far as sugar is concerned, it's a highly regulated sector. And the big game changer as far as sugar is concerned has been the ethanol thrust. And I'm sure ethanol thrust would continue, and sugar would continue to remain now the new sunshine sector or energy sector, as you would like to say.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for taking time out.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon to never miss an update from Nirmal Bang.